Erev Tov, good evening, everyone. Tonight we are learning Gemara Masechet Berachot Daf Mem, Daf 40A from the very top. And I must say that there are very, very relevant topics for tonight into your everyday lives. Beautiful topics. We're going to have a lot of fun. Tonight, this daf is there's some agarita, there's some very common or practical halachot, fun gemarot. Let's have some fun. We're going to start with 40A, Mem Amud Aleph. I'm going to share screen. And Be'ezrat Hashem, let's get started. It's the month of Elul. It's the time of learning Torah, growing. Let's do it. Here we go. Can someone confirm that you could please see the R scroll on the screen?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Diran. Let's get started. Mem Amud Aleph 40A from the very, very, very top of the daf. We are now going to talk about a concept called hefsek. What is a hefsek? Hefsek is when you're saying a beracha, between doing the activity that you made the beracha on, you separate it by talking. So, for example, if I say the beracha of Hamotzi lachem min haaretz, what should I do? I should eat the bread. You say the beracha on eating bread. What you do immediately after is eat the bread. If you say a beracha to do a mitzvah, immediately after that mitzvah, that beracha, you should do the mitzvah. So if you take a break, that's called the hefsek. This is what we have in footnote 1. Talking between the recital of a blessing and performing the act of that for which that blessing was recited is generally considered a hefsek. So what? Which necessitates repeating the blessing. It invalidates the bracha. If I say Hamotzi lachem min haaretz, and then I don't eat bread, and then I talk, and I do something else, then all of a sudden I get the piece of bread and I want to eat it, I have to say a bracha again. That bracha there's been a hefsek, there's been an interruption. Fine. So here we're going to talk about someone says Hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Okay, imagine it's your Shabbat table, and you have a lot of people there. And then someone takes the challah, they have to do Hamotzi, they say Hamotzi lachem min haaretz. And after they start talking. So if I say a bracha, Hamotzi, and then I start talking, I have to say another bracha. Unless my talking is related to the bread somehow. So we're going to see examples of when you're allowed to speak related to the bread and how that there's a lot of important halachot here. Amar Rav. Rav tells us, Tol beroch. If someone says, take a piece of the bread, they call the bread the blessed. But if someone says, take a piece of bread. So what happens? I say, here, take some. Everybody takes some. I didn't eat it myself. So well, hold your horses. What are you supposed to do if you're saying Hamotzi for the whole table? What are you supposed to do? Eat first. Take a piece of bread, eat it yourself, and then you disseminate the bread, right? Is that what you guys do? One person says Hamotzi for everyone. First thing that he does is he eats and then he gives out. This guy, he's such a good host. He says, here, take. You take something. Oh, no, you didn't get yet. And now you're telling people, take. Is that considered a hefsek? So it says the Gemara, you do not need to repeat the bracha. Why? Because you're speaking related to the eating of the bread. It's not completely unrelated. If I say, the Knicks win last night, I didn't watch the game, so then you've created an interruption. You have to say Hamotzi again before you eat the bread. But if I say Hamotzi lachem min haaretz, and then I say, here, take some bread to eat it, because I just said the bracha, and you're relying on my bracha, so here, take some bread and eat it now, because I just said the bracha. You shouldn't do it. But it's not considered an interruption that invalidates the bracha. Okay? So that's stage number 1. Haveh melach, haveh niftan. Another guy says, pass the salt. So, oh, I didn't get the salt. I'm such a trombet here. Can you pass the salt? Pass the salt. Or the guy says, haveh liftan. What is liftan? Relish. Relish is like a spread, like a hummus, right? So you say, pass the hummus, pass the tchina, pass the something. I already said Hamotzi. What do? Sarich levarech. So says Rav, you have to say a bracha. If you say Hamotzi, and then you say take some bread, since the bread is related to the Hamotzi, I'm talking about Hamotzi, I'm talking about bread, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't invalidate my bracha. But if I say give me salt, why are you asking for salt? You want to have the salt, that's bonus. Eat the bread. You first have to eat the bread. You have to say Hamotzi, eat the bread. If you say pass the salt, you've invalidated your Beracha, and now you have to say Hamotzi again. So if it's your Shabbat table and the guy and the balabait, the host says Hamotzi lachem min haaretz, please pass the salt, he has to say Hamotzi again. That's the opinion of Rav. The Rabbi Yochanan argues. Rabbi Yochanan says, "Afilu haviu melach, haviu liftan." Even if, sorry, we don't have the margin. It's in the elevator room, the bottom shelf of the bookshelf. There's a bunch of Gemaras. Maybe you can bring it. You can bring it up. So if I say, pass me the salt, pass me the spread, the relish. That's part of the Beracha. Why? Because you have an obligation to have salt together with your bread. We're going to speak about this tonight. So Rabbi Yochanan says, if I say Hamotzi and I say pass me the salt, it's okay. It doesn't invalidate your Beracha. Okay? But Gabel le Torah. But if I say go feed the ox, feed the animal, that's separating. That's an interruption. Oh, you didn't give the food to the dog yet. Can you pour some food for the dog yet? And then I eat the bread? So Rabbi Yochanan says, you've just created an interruption. You have to say Beracha again. Rav Sheshat argues, thank you. Rav Sheshat Amar, Afilu gabel Torah nami in a certain levarech. Even if I say, get the food ready for the ox before I eat the bread, that's not considered an interruption. D'amarav Yehuda Amarav, because Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, Asur le'adam sheyochal kodem sheiten ma'achal livhem tov. It's forbidden for a person to eat before he feeds his animals. Anyone here have a pet? Dog? Cat? Goldfish?
Fish.
You have a bird? Wait, who has a fish? Itai?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an important halacha, Itai. When you want to eat you're having your challah, you have your sandwich. Before you eat, you gotta feed your fish. You gotta feed your bird. You can't. Why? So there's different opinions as to why. First, let's see the pasuk, and then we'll talk about some reasons why. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, "Venatati esed b'sadecha livhemtecha."
Rob, I just explained this to my wife like last week. I quoted this pasuk because I got it from the dinner table to feed my fish.
You got up from the dinner table to feed your fish with the food that your wife made. You're saying?
No. That's for me. It's fish food.
Oh, so your wife was serving you, but then you went and you took the fish food. Okay, fine. Because then you have a lot of explaining to do with your wife if you took her food and gave it to the fish. But no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All jokes aside. But yeah, you did it exactly correct. Why? Only after. So it's Ribono Shel Olam, when he's giving a Beracha to Am Yisrael, he's saying, Im Shemot Yishma. If you listen to the words of Im Shemot Yishma V'Sotah, you follow the mitzvot. Hashem says, I will make sure that there's food for your animals, and also for you. So you see, you're following God's model. First feed the animals, then feed yourself. So because of this, Rav Sheshat says, I say, and now I realize I didn't feed my pet yet. So am I allowed to say, feed the animal before I eat bread? The answer is yes, because it's part of my requirement. I really shouldn't eat the bread. So maybe it's better that I don't and I take a small bite but if I say feed the pet, feed the animal, it's not a interruption. And therefore I don't need to repeat the bracha. Now you guys tell me why. We don't have a reason why here. We just have like a drasha. But give me a reason why you think that this might be the halacha. Why is it that you have to feed your animal before you feed yourself?
That's selfish.
Okay. So you're becoming a compassionate person by, like, I could take care of myself. My animal can't take care of itself. This is a pet. This is not an animal in the wild. Your goldfish or your bird is not out in the wild to go get food for itself. It has to get fed. So since I'm responsible for it, you have like empathy. And you say, before I eat myself, let me take care of others that can't take care of themselves. I can take care of myself. He can't. Okay, so that's one nice idea. Others?
Deraita?
Unclear if this is a halacha deraita or not. So it's a very good question. So you're saying something very clear, very nice. The example is given about for the oxen. What were the oxen doing? The oxen are helping you with harvesting. So you have this bread because your oxen was going and plowing the field and harvesting the field, and it was doing the threshing and it was doing this whole process. And then you come and you enjoy it yourself. That poor thing was the one that was working hard for it. Letting it enjoy first. Very nice. I like that idea a lot. If you go down that train of thought, then you might say, okay, but that doesn't apply for your fish. What do your fish do for you? Or what do your birds do for you? So you're saying this is because the food I'm about to eat, I owe hakarat hatov to this animal, so let me give it first. Okay, if you follow that, then maybe it doesn't apply to other animals. What Tomer is saying is that you have a little bit of mercy on it. Okay, other explanations?
Once you eat, you don't want to get up. You lay down, Netflix after.
That's right. When you're hungry, you feel the animal's hunger and you want. But now, once you're fed, you're like, I need to go on the couch for a few minutes. And you just go on the couch for a few minutes, you pat, and then you pat. So, if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it. Very nice answer. Very nice answer.
Eating an animal back then wasn't like Pop-Tart in the microwave.
Yeah, there's no Pop-Tart in the microwave. Which animal you're feeding Pop-Tarts to? Yeah. You feed. So that's what it says. Knead the bran with water for the oxen. You start kneading. Oh my gosh, you're making a dish for it by taking it and mixing it up. So you're right. It's like labor. So once you're fed, you don't want to do this. You want to just relax. No, I like where you're going with this, Andy. Yeah? Okay, very good. So it's a way of appreciating what you have. Gives to me. I want to emulate God, so I want to give to others. That's a very nice idea. Very nice idea. So you're emulating God. I appreciate that this is coming from you, and I'm gonna pass it along. Right? What do they call it when you pass it on? You're passing it on. There's another idea called Tsar Bal Chaim. Tsar Bal Chaim is it's gonna feel pain as it's watching me eat. Why do I need to feed it first? Because I'm licking my lips over here. And this animal is watching me eat. It's like torture for the animal. So it's not just a matter of you having compassion on feeding it, but it's extremely cruel to be eating in front of it. Again, if you go down this line of thought, then what happens if the animal's not in the room and it doesn't know you're eating? What happens if I don't know if goldfish can see? Itai, can goldfish see into your dining room? Where are they even? I don't know. Whatever it is.
Yeah, they're actually right next to the table, and they if I go near the tank, they see me. They come up to get food. They're with it.
Okay. So there's an example where when they see Itai approaching, they get hungry. They start going crazy. So now you come to the table and you're gonna start eating. These poor things are watching you eat. It's cruel. But let's say it was in a different room, then maybe things would be different. Okay, so anyway, if you have a pet, make sure you learn these halachot. This is a very, very interesting halakha. We take care of others before ourselves. Now, if this is true for animals, how much more so for your kids, for your family? You want to serve others. If you have to take care of animals before yourself, then your parents are there. Shouldn't you serve them first? Your spouse, your friends, your children, others should be always letting other people take first. It's part of derech eretz. We learn it through the animals to have derech eretz by humans as well. Okay? Do you have a parrot? It's just a bird. What type of bird is it? You don't.
It's too loud and chirping all the sound.
Okay. Very good. Okay, it sounds like Richard's. I think if anyone wants some birds, looks like there's some birds for sale. Okay, this is good. Let's keep going. Sorry. Liran, are you saying so? I see you're unmuted. Did you want to add something?
I'm sorry. No, I just giggled to myself.
Oh, okay. Very good. So let's continue with the Gemara. Oh, hold on. Time out. I forgot to say something important. I can't believe no one asked. This whole thing we're talking about speaking after you say the Beracha of Hamotzi, that's an interruption, and it's going to require you to say another Hamotzi, unless your interruption was connected. Okay, what's your question? What? Oh, the question is, what about speaking after Netilat Yadayim? You guys do this or no? What do you do? You talk all the time. So you're like, did the Knicks win last? Netilat Yadayim? Did the Knicks win last night? That's part of your Beracha.
People that don't talk with
Yeah. You don't want. Okay, so you want to make a point about it. So Andy makes sure to talk every time he does Netilat Yadayim. And there's no one in the room. He talks. He sings a song and then he says Hamotzi. Anyone not talk? Okay, so here's what you can't do, Andy. You can't have hefsek where your hands become dirty. If I say Netilat Yadayim and then I go change my tire and then I come and I want to eat some bread, that's ridiculous. You have to do Netilat Yadayim again. You have to say Beracha again because your hands are dirty. If your hands are getting dirty, you say Netilat Yadayim. Let me go change the baby's diaper. You go wipe and then come say Hamotzi. What? No, you have to do Netilat Yadayim again. You made your hands dirty. You have to say Netilat Yadayim. But if I say Netilat Yadayim and then my hands are clean and I come to the table and I'm there, and even if I'm touching things, let's say very common. You go to the kitchen, you do Netilat Yadayim, and now at the table there's salads, there's food, there's dish. So everyone, as they're in the kitchen, you take something. You just did Netilat Yadayim and you take something to the table. You just touch something. Okay, it's okay. As long as your hands aren't dirty, it's okay. It's okay. I remember asking this to Rabbi Beracha, and he's like, of course you should. It's like just basic manners. You're going to the table. If something has to get to the table, take it with you. Even though you didn't Netilat Yadayim. As long as your hands are clean. If your hands get dirty, you have to say Beracha Netilat Yadayim again. So what's this whole thing about not talking? The whole thing about not talking is to stay focused. To stay focused so that your hands don't get dirty. If it's ever a situation where I have to talk, I try to do something with my hands, like hold them into each other, like this. So that this way I don't by accident forget. So this way I'm making sure that I don't have hesed hadat. The Kohanim do this, no? What Kohanim? What do you do if after you do Netilat Yadayim, someone wants to give you a high five? You elbow them, all right? You start elbowing your way through the crowd. Yeah, exactly. I've seen some Kohanim, they stick their hands in their talit and they go like this. Exactly. Right? So you don't want to forget. You want to make sure you don't forget. It's the same concept. So if you say the Beracha Netilat Yadayim and you talk, you don't have to repeat the Beracha. But if you say Hamotzi and you haven't eaten the bread, and then you talk, you have to indeed say another Beracha of Hamotzi. The exception being if the speech was related to the food. So we have different opinions of how related it has to be. The first one says, if I say take some bread, that's okay. But if I say bring some salt, that's not good. The second opinion says, no, even the salt is part of the eating the bread. That's fine. But if I say go feed the animal, that's not related. The third opinion says, no, also feed the animal because you really shouldn't eat before you feed the animal. So that's also part of the eating. Those are the three opinions that we have.
If you said Beracha and Hamotzi, then you start feeding the animal, you gotta wash your hands again and pretty much say the Beracha again.
No, I'm not doing the one feeding. I'm directing someone else to eat. In all of these cases, I'm saying, pass me the salt, pass me this, feed the animal. So all I'm doing is I'm speaking. I'm not touching anything. I'm just speaking before I eat, and that is enough of an interruption. But if it's connected, then it's okay. That's what we're saying now. This is a very good question. This concept of hefsek applies to all food brachot. So if I say borei pri ha'etz, I have to eat the apple. I have to eat the apple in order for it to not to be an interruption. And if I talk after I say borei pri ha'etz and I don't eat the apple, and the talk is not related to the apple, then I need to make another bracha. Yeah. So no. Oh well, no. It's like related to. Okay. That's a good thing. Actually, I saw. Where does the interruption? When can you start talking? Is it when it hits your tongue or when you swallow it? So, like sometimes you're at a table, someone baked challah. Right? So what do? You put it in your mouth and say, that was the most delicious challah I've ever had in my entire life. But you didn't swallow it yet. It's still considered an interruption. Now, okay, at least this is something that you can start there. Maybe there's a little bit of a gray area. I don't think someone would say Hamotzi when the bread is already in the mouth and they're chewing. But it's just something to be cautious of. Swallow it. If you want to talk really badly, take a small piece. Delicious. Not because you swallowed it already. And then you can talk and then you can chew all you want. But yeah, if it's not related to the action of eating it, which is take some food to eat, or pass me the salt so I can put it on so I can eat, or go feed the animal because it's related to eating, fine. But if it's just a matter of wow, what a beautiful challah, it's not really related to the action of. It's not necessary for the eating, so that's a problem. So if I say hamotzi and I say, wow, this smells so good, can I eat it? That's actually a hefsek. So I would have to say hamotzi again. Good question. Yes.
When you're doing off topic, if somebody says hamotzi, then you ask me please, so I say hamotzi myself eating it.
Oh, okay. So that actually is very related. So Richard's question is, how does it work when you're at the Shabbat table and one person says Hamotzi? Are we each saying our own Beracha of Hamotzi, or are we each saying our own Hagefen? So the answer is, when it comes to Berachot HaNehenin, which is Berachot that you say before eating food, you typically will say the Beracha by yourself. But if you have a group of people and one person says the Beracha for others and has them in mind, then you don't need to make your own individual Beracha. So how does it work? I say Borei Priya Gefen. Everyone has their small shots glasses. I say Borei Priya Gefen. I drink. Everyone drinks also. You do not need to say your own Beracha Gefen. You want to, you can. The issue with you saying your own Beracha is that on a Shabbat, if you have only 1 ounce, you don't have enough volume to fulfill your obligation of Kiddush. You need to have at least 3 ounces. So you have a shot glass, you say Borei Priya Gefen, you're on your own, you're not attaching yourself to my Beracha, you ended up not doing your Kiddush requirement. So really what you should happen is I say Borei Priya Gefen, you say Amen, and you drink. You don't say your own Beracha. Same with Hamotzi. You can say your own Hamotzi, but remember what you're trying to do on Shabbat is you're trying to do Lechem Mishneh. You want to have 2 loaves of bread, and we spoke about this last week. You also want it to be Shalem, you want it to be complete. So by the time it gets to you, you have a rip of 1 piece, but the time it was at me, I have 2 complete pieces. If you say your own Hamotzi, you're missing out on Shalem, you're missing out on Lechem Mishneh. So what should you do? One person says Hamotzi, everyone answers Amen, and then you eat the bread without saying anything, and you don't talk. Now, if you needed the salt, you'd be allowed to say, pass the salt. If he, for example, didn't put it. But now we're going to learn a little bit more about salt as well. But yeah, but just in general, we can have there's a concept when one person can make a Beracha for other people. And as long as you both have in mind and you don't interrupt in your speech, you can indeed say Amen and just rely on that person's Beracha. Yes.
Said, let's say you were not there, you were changing the date or something, and you come back. Now you obligated to say it, or you kind of said it for you.
No. Okay, very good question. And Andy's question is like, what if I missed it? They said Hamotzi at the table, I wasn't there. So can I just take a piece of bread and eat it? The answer is you need to say your own Hamotzi, because the way of relying on someone else's Beracha only works if you both have an intention, and you say Amen. So you didn't do any of that. You weren't even in the room. So now what should you do? Should you go to the kitchen and say, sorry, host, I have to leave. You need to give me 2 new challahs now because it's okay. In this situation, it is what it is. You take a small piece, you say Hamotzi, and that's it. What is that? Oh, it's my friend. You in that situation, what are you going to do? You should not go create a whole big deal about it. You say your own Hamotzi, but you have to say your own Hamotzi. And if you missed it, then you can't rely on his Beracha. Not just that. Even if you heard it, Andy, even if you heard it, right? But I wasn't able to eat the Hamotzi. I was in the room. I heard him say Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. I said Amen. Then I went to change the baby before I could eat. And then I came back a few minutes later. That's a hefsek. You have to say Hamotzi again. Even though I heard it. Because if I want the action to be connected to the Beracha, I'm using his Beracha, but I need to do the action. He can't eat for me. He can say the Beracha for me, but he can't eat for me. Okay, good? It's a lot of good practical questions. Good? Let's go. Does everyone put salt on their challah or on their bread? You dip it. You dip the bread into the salt. Okay? How many times?
I guess not.
That's using context clues. He answered, I guess 3. Yeah. This is Api Kabbalah. Hopefully we'll learn some nice topics then. Amar Rava bar Shmuel mishum Rabbi Chia. So this is Rava's din. Ein habotzea rashai liftsoa when you are separating the bread, if you are the head of the household and you're going to say Hamotzi, you should not start. You should not say Hamotzi and break the bread until everyone has some salt or relish next to them. Everyone needs to have some sort of a spread in front of them. Okay? The assumption being that I am not going to be putting salt on this. I'm going to say Hamotzi, I'm going to give it out, and you have to put the salt on it yourself. And in that context, I shouldn't do it if you don't have the salt in front of you. Because what are you going to do? You're going to get the bread and you're going to have to wait. So it's a false start. I'm starting too early. I'm pulling the trigger. But so says Rava, very important rule, because we're going to have an addendum to it. The one who's saying the Beracha should not break the bread, which means shouldn't say Hamotzi and rip it, until everyone is ready. I would say the same thing for the Kiddush. I have little shot glasses. I want everyone to get it. It hasn't been given out yet. I say, but hold on a second. Wait until everyone gets it. You wait until everyone holds it and then say it. So that this way, do you want them to wait after the Beracha? It's best to wait before the Beracha. Of course, there's other considerations. If you're going to lose the crowd, it's different. But here, this is the rule of Rav Bar Shmuel. Now, the same Rav Bar Shmuel once went and he didn't do this himself. So let's see what happened. Rav Bar Shmuel, one time he was Rav Bar Shmuel, who he said, you can't say Hamotzi until everyone has salt in front of them. He once went to the house of the Reish Galuta. He was the head of the, let's see what they call it, the Reish Galuta, a scion of the Davidic dynasty, was the head of the semi-autonomous government of the Jews in Babylonia during the Talmudic and post-Talmudic time period. During the In Bavel, where this Gemara was written, they had a Reish Galuta, which was almost like a semi-king, serving as a leader of the Jewish people. It wasn't an actual king, but he was someone from the children of David HaMelech, and he was the leader. So one time Rav Bar Shmuel went to his house. It's like you're going to the White House, for example, and they're serving you, and there's a whole thing, it's a whole big deal, and they tell him, time for you to say Hamotzi. Apikule rifta. So they brought out bread in front of him. And remember, he said you got to wait for everyone to have salt. Ubatzal lahedya, right away. He said, Hamotzi lachem minare. Said he gave it out. Amrulei. So they said to him, Hadar mar mishmaateh. Did you retract your teaching? Why are you doing it so fast? We've always been giving out the salt and the spreads beforehand because of you. And now you're not even waiting yourself? Amar lahu, he responded to them, let them serif b'shash. No, not this type of bread. This type of bread you don't need to wait for. Why? What's so special about this type of bread? Look at footnote 14. The bread was made from refined flour, which is quite tasty, even without salt or relish. Thus, there was no need to have salt or relish, since the bread, as it would be eaten, would be eaten with enjoyment. So this is a din of what Shulchan Aruch will hold, that the purpose of the salt or the spread is to make it more enjoyable to eat the bread. But then when you go to the Reish Galuta, they make these chalot that were delicious. It wasn't just this hard, stale water challah that's like hard to swallow. So you need to like drown the flavor in something. You know, like whenever something doesn't taste good, what do? You pour ketchup all over it. You go to an Italian, they give you a piece of something, you give them a piece of steak. This thing has been aged for 3 days. It has like cooked whatever, and then what do? You pour ketchup all over your steak. What would you do? You should get ejected from wherever you are. If it's someone's house or a restaurant, you should get ejected. You're ruining it, right? No, some people will have ketchup on everything. Some people will have their ketchup on like their cereal and milk. They'll have, but whatever. The point is that you're taking something and you're drowning it. But there are certain things that doesn't need to be drowned. Doesn't need to be drenched with the sauce. And putting a sauce on it is unnecessary. So Rava says, my law, the halacha that I said, that you should only, before you say Hamotzi, make sure everyone has the salt in front of them. That's if it's the bread that needs the salt, but your bread is delicious. It doesn't even need. So look at this din of Shulchan Aruch, and because I'm holding up the art scroll, I'm just going to pop it open. This is Shulchan Aruch Siman Kuf Samech Zayin Seif He. It says, Lo yivtza, a person should not say Hamotzi, ad she'aviu lefanav melach o liftam, until he has in front of him salt. Meaning, don't say Hamotzi until the salt comes. Wait for the salt and then say it. But if it's clean bread, this is like white bread and fine flour as opposed to bran or something that doesn't taste good. or it has spices in it, or b'melach, or even if it has salt in there, as we have nowadays, says Shulchan Aruch, or if you like bread stale and you don't need the salt, so then you don't need to wait. If you like eating bread without salt and you don't need to wait for the salt in order to say Hamotzi, or if your bread is delicious, sometimes you get these like pita rolls that are like fluffy, that it's like delicious, or someone gives you a lafa, or these challah rolls are so good, you don't need salt. You really don't need salt. By the way, challah recipe, look it up. You know what's in a challah recipe?
Sugar.
Salt, sugar, oil, eggs, everything is in there. And now you're going to say salt. It has salt. The thing has salt in it. You don't even need to add salt to something. You don't have to add extra salt that has salt. This is the din of Shulchan Aruch. Now, look at the Rama. Haga. Umikol makom, says the Rama. Mitzvah lahavi ala shulchan melach. Kodem she'ifsor. Before you do it, you should still put salt on the table. Even if you don't need it, you should put it. Why? Ki hashulchan domen hamizbeach. Because your table is corresponding to the mizbeach and the Bet HaMikdash. The achila, the korban, and our eating is as though we're eating from the sacrifices of the Bet HaMikdash. V'ne'emar al kol korban achad takriv melach. And the Torah says on every korban there has to be salt. So the Ramah is saying, practically you're correct, but there's symbolism to the salt. There's a good reason to have it. So says the Ramah, you should have salt. Says Tosfot, you know what? Let's do this because it's important laws. This is something you're probably going to have to do every single Shabbat. Okay, look at this. Ve'anu, I can't really point to here, but this word over here is ve'anu. Ve'anu, ein anu regilim lahavi ala shulchan, lo melach v'lo liftan. Says Tosfot that the European medieval commentators, he said we don't have salt on our table. Most people don't. If you go and you buy a sandwich, you go to House of Subs, you like House of Subs. Do you ask them, give me a packet of salt on the side? You're just going to eat the sandwich. It has things in it. It has flavor. I don't need the bread. You'll get spicy mayo, right? Okay, so you'll get the liftan. But I don't know how many people just eat bread straight up. Does anyone just eat up straight? They have rye bread. In the morning, you come here, they have rye bread. You want to have a slice of rye bread because you want to have it with your food. You're having eggs, you want to have some rye. Do you take salt? When is the last time you came here for breakfast and brought salt to the table? Or you go in and you're home, you have cereal and milk with salt. So he says the same thing. He says, we don't have salt. We don't bring salt to the table. Because our bread is important. It's chashuv. It's good. It's good bread that we don't need salt to drench the flavor of it. He's saying this, it's like the bread that they had at the house of the Reish Galuta, that it was good bread. We don't need it. Mihu. Rabbi Menachem. But there's one rabbi, his name is Rabbi Menachem, and he would make sure that he would always have salt at the table. Why? Look at this reason. This is an amazing reason. It's pretty amazing. When Jewish people are sitting around the table, and they're all waiting. Why are they waiting? Because they have to do Netilat Yadayim. They're not talking. They're just sitting there doing nothing. They're not studying Torah. They're not talking. They're just sitting and waiting. So you see from here, they wouldn't talk. You're sitting and waiting. So the Satan comes and says, look at a bunch of bums, lazy bums. They're sitting there doing nothing. Look at this. This is your people. Shabbat. They're sitting there. They're all just staring at each other. This is a bunch of degenerates. They can't talk to each other. They don't do any mitzvot. They're all doing anything. So during that time, Rabbi Menachem says it's a very dangerous time. Obrit melach magin alehem. But that's why we want to have salt at the table, because salt, Ribono Shel Olam says, "Al kol korbanachah zakriv melach." When you bring salt on your korbanot, because that's a covenant that we have with God. So there's another reason why. Now, what's interesting is probably on most people's tables, it's probably better if they keep their mouth shut. You have less lashon hara this way. Probably you do more mitzvot by not talking. But anyway, in the times of Rabbi Menachem, he said how since you're not talking, you're not doing Torah mitzvot, you have to have salt at the table. Okay. The Ben Ish Chai quotes based on the Kabbalah I believe it's the Ben Ish Chai that quotes it, but it's based on the Kabbalah that you need to have salt. And not only do you need to have salt, you need to dip the bread into the salt. And it's not just a matter of having the salt. Now, Shulchan Aruch is very clear. Shulchan Aruch is saying that if it tastes good, you do not need salt. This is a din of halacha. You don't need to. Al pi Kabbalah, you should have it. So why? We're already giving some reasons. Because it corresponds to the Shulchan of the Mizbeach, because it'll protect you against the Satan, and because of other things where the bread is corresponding to chesed and the salt is corresponding to din, and you take the chesed and you dip it into the din by sweetening the judgments. I can't say that I fully understand all of this, but what I say is this is what we do. This is what we do. So the best way to do it is to take the salt and dip it in. And for Hamotzi, you say Hamotzi, take salt, dip it in 3 times. Why? Because this is what you do at Kabbalah. But worst case scenario, you don't need salt. You don't need to dip anything. Minadin. We just saw Shulchan Aruch based on our Gemara. Rabbi Mashmuel did this. He said Hamotzi. He didn't wait for them to have salt. They said, why? He said, this is delicious bread. You don't need to wait for this. Incidentally, I will say that I asked Rabbi Ben once when I was learning this halachot. I said, Rabbi, Shulchan Aruch says pat or liftan. It's bread. Melach or liftan, salt or relish, which is some sort of a spread. Hummus. Rabbi, which one is better? He says we use salt, but to tell you the truth, I like hummus better than salt. I don't know about you guys. Friday nights, you take challah. Do you eat it with hummus? You guys do this? Tchina. Okay, so you eat challah with tchina. You're gonna go dip it in salt 3 times and then go put it in the tchina anyway. It's like whatever purpose that you're doing according to halacha, you're fulfilling, and that's even better, right? It makes more sense that you do it, the thing that you like that tastes more. You like it with hummus, so you have it with hummus. We have challah. So we do it with salt anyway. But what I'm saying is, if you're in a situation where there's no salt, definitely do not make a big deal out of it. And if you're ever at a table and there's no salt and you're not sure, Shulchan Aruch Siman Kuf Samad Zayin Seifeh says you don't need it because there's salt already in there. It's a very important halakha to know. The reason I say this is because I have seen that someone will come as a guest to someone's home and this thing is not there and they make a big deal out of it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Minadin, you don't even need it. Kabbalah, okay, Kabbalah you keep in your own home, not when you're a guest in someone else's home and you're gonna inconvenience them. Okay, good. But also I'm not a Kabbalist. I don't know these things, so maybe if I knew it, I would feel stronger about it. We do it. The Ramah says we should do it. Rabbi Menachem from Tosfos says we should do it, so we do it. Ben Ish Chai says do it, so we do it. But I'm just explaining that Minadin, let den serich b'shash. He's telling us you don't need to wait if it tastes good. Good? Good? Yeah.
Right. So you make Beracha on the bread, and then you take a bite, and then take another. Take a bite, dip it, and then eat it. What does that be? Like hefsek?
No. So this is what we're learning. We're learning that the salt is not a hefsek. So you say, so you don't take a bite. You say Hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Rip, dip, chip. I don't know. I want to think about I didn't think of the right word. Rip, dip, and sip. That's it. Rip, dip, sip. That's the order of how you're going to do it. Now, hefsek? No, because we're saying it's not a hefsek because it's a requirement for eating.
Question, Rabbi.
Yes.
Are you allowed to just pour salt on the bread, then pass it down?
Yes, you are absolutely allowed to. Min hadin, you're allowed to. Al pi Kabbalah, you're supposed to dip it. Why? Because the bread corresponds to kindness and the salt corresponds to justice.
Also, you rather put the other way around. I see.
Yeah, so the way, the truth of the matter is, this is what I'm trying to say, that it's not a big deal. Even if you don't put the salt at all, it's okay. If you add the salt, it's okay. If you put hummus with tchin on it, it's okay. But al pi Kabbalah, the right way to do it is to dip it in salt 3 times.
Okay. Nice.
Okay?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right, that's cool. There have been times where I am somewhere and there's no salt. And, I just dip it in the egg salad. You say, Hamotzi, and there's egg salad there. So you dip it in the egg salad, or you dip it in the coleslaw juice or something. You give some flavor to it. So you're fulfilling this according to Shulchan Aruch. All right, let's keep going. Share screen. Very practical things. I hope this Shabbat you guys are going to be ripping, dipping, and sipping. You are, right, Tomer? This Shabbat, oof, you're going to have salt coming out of the ceilings. Okay, let's keep going. So we have his story of Rava Bar Shmuel. Next. V'amar Rava Bar Shmuel. So now we got a story from Rava Bar Shmuel. Rava Bar Shmuel said, you got to wait until everyone has their salt. And then we see a story, he himself didn't do it. But once we go into the world of Rava Bar Shmuel, let's talk about biology, human anatomy, how to go to the bathroom. Okay? We're going to learn why? Because it's something that he spoke about, completely unrelated, but he says something. I just do a raise of hands. Raise of hands. How do you empty your bladder better? Sitting or standing? Whoever thinks sitting, raise your hand. Whoever thinks standing, raise your hand. Emptying your bladder better. Okay, 3 people undecided. Let's see what Rava Bar Shmuel says. Amar Rava Bar Shmuel. People on the Zoom, sorry, I didn't see what you voted for. Let's see. Amar Rava Bar Shmuel, Amar Rabbi Chia. En me raglaim kalim elavi yeshiva. Urine is not completely emptied unless you're sitting. So he's telling you, you have a long trip, you want to empty out your bladder, sit. Now I have to say, this is biologically, I don't think this is correct. Biologically, you want gravity on your side, and standing is the better way of doing it. Why does he say to sit? The answer is because when you're standing, you're gonna have sprinkles. Basically, imagine you're peeing on the ground, and you're peeing somewhere, and then next to your feet. When you pee on the ground, you're going to be peeing on yourself. This is just sprinkles. It happens. We actually had this earlier in the Masechet also. And so since that's going to happen, you're going to get dirty. And you don't want to get yourself dirty. So you're not going to really empty. You're not going to let yourself empty out, especially toward the end of the stream. You're not going to let it empty out. So he's saying that if you want to empty it out, sit. Not because physically that's better, but because psychologically that's better. You're more relaxed when you're sitting. Let's see. You're going to see what the commentators say. So actually, footnote number 16. When one urinates while standing, this is a fun topic, and the stream of urine begins to weaken and land progressively closer and closer to him, he must be concerned that the droplets not bounce on the ground onto his feet. Hence, he tends to arrest the flow prematurely. While the stream is still relatively strong. This is what Rashi explains. If he urinates while sitting, however, the urine droplets do not bounce on his feet. Thus, it allows the bladder to empty completely. So he's saying, practically speaking, it's better to urinate sitting because you're less worried about it sprinkling on you, so you're going to let it empty it out. However, Amar Rav Kana adds, if the land that you're urinating on is absorbent and it's soft, and there's no backsplash, so then standing is fine. The bladder empties completely even when you're standing. And I think biologically you might say it empties out even better. Whatever. Let's say you don't have loose earth. Let's say it's just like concrete. I have another trick for you. Go stand on a high place. Go to the lamppost. Go stand up there. You might get thrown into jail for urinating in public. I'm kidding. But like if you're at a higher level, how does that change things? Even if there's backsplash, you're at a higher level, it's not going to splash up 3 feet into the air. It's going to splash a few inches up. So that's what he's saying. And urinate onto an inclined surface that slopes away from him. So if a person is able to, we're talking about times that they had no bathrooms. So there's certain things that we're learning here is that you didn't want to urinate on yourself. You didn't want to. First of all, it's disgusting. Second of all, if you're dirty, you're going to go to tefillah afterwards. You're not allowed to. You have a smell to you. So we're learning some basic concepts here. You have to empty out your bladder. What's the best way to do it? So it says Rav Shmuel, the best way to do it is sitting. Why? Because then you're willing to, even as the stream gets lower, you're willing to let it go. Whereas if you're standing and it's going to start getting closer to you and it's going to end up sprinkling on your legs, you're going to stop the flow prematurely and you won't empty out your bladder. So, but now we're saying unless it's softer, then it's okay. Or if you're standing on an elevated spot and you're going away, and that's the same concept of having toilets. If you're peeing inside of a toilet and the toilet is constructed in a way that it's not splashing back on you, then that's the best way to empty it. Some toilets start splashing back at you, and then if you have that, then it could be a problem. The urinals, certain urinals will splash back at you. Exactly. That's why they put the fly there. You guys know the fly? It's telling you to aim. Or they have like other types of things. But yeah, so it's very important because even though this doesn't seem like this is a halachic discussion, it is a halachic discussion. Because when you're going to the bathroom, you should empty out your bladder. We know about this, right? You want to go pray, you got to go to the bathroom first. You want your entire body to be clear. It's also unhealthy for you. Okay, so we're learning Rava Bar Shmuel. Let's go on a marathon. One more from Rava Bar Shmuel. Whenever you eat something, make sure you eat salt with it. And whenever you drink something, make sure you have a chaser. You drink some water. You're going to drink wine, make sure you drink some water. You're going to eat some food, make sure you have salt. And if you do these two things, you won't be harmed. Make sure you have salt and water whenever you're eating and drinking, and you'll be fine. This is also Breita. Whenever you eat something, eat salt. After whatever you eat salt. After whatever you drink water. And you won't be harmed. Tanya Eidach, within another Breita. You ate everything below achal melach, and your food didn't have any salt. Shata kol mashkin below shata mayim, or you drink things and you didn't drink water. Bayom yid'ag min reach hapeh. If this is during the day, you should be worried that you're going to have terrible bad breath. Uvalayla yid'ag min askara, and at nighttime you should be concerned about askara, which is basically dying from inflammation of the throat that can lead to strangulation. Okay, so what it's telling us is that salt and water are critical. The first way of saying it is a positive way. Whenever you eat something, make sure you have some salt, you have some water, and then you'll be okay. Here it's saying if you eat without having salt and you drink without having water, in the day you're gonna have bad breath. But that's the better of the two. At nighttime, you should worry about overnight getting sick and dying. Tan Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, one who floats his food with water. If someone soaks his food with water, which means after they eat their food, they drink a lot of water, he won't have any intestinal illness, which means it's good to drink a lot of water. Okay, we're learning a little bit of science here. We're learning biology from the Gemara. The Gemara is telling us you need to have salt, you need to have water. If you don't have water, nighttime you might die. If you're going to drink without having water, it's very dangerous. And after you eat, it's good to drench your belly with water. Okay. First of all, there's definitely facts and truth to this. If you're going to drink without drinking water, you're going to have, let's say you only have vodka, right? It's very dangerous. And you're going to be straining your body for sure. You need to have water. If you're going to be eating food that doesn't have salt, salt has certain benefits to it. Actually, as crazy as it is, sometimes if someone has a lot of water, they're diluting all of the electrolytes inside their body. It gets dangerous. It's happened to me before, where I drank it before a fast, 4 bottles of water, and then I started to get lightheaded. I don't know if you ever had it happen to you. You need to have some electrolytes. You need to have some minerals. You need to have some salt. You need to have salt. This salt doesn't necessarily mean our kosher salt or our iodized table salt. It means whatever salts they had. These are minerals. Their water wasn't mineralized the way our water is. So there's facts that you could corroborate today as well. If you're dehydrated, it's not just about drinking water. You know that, right? You need to have electrolytes. And that's why you get more hydrated by having something like Gatorade. If someone is in a and there's a lot of food coloring, or like coconut water. These electrolytes are what's it called? Pedialyte. What? Pedialyte. These things are important. Why? Because you need to have salt in your diet also. You need to have water in your diet also. Now, the fact that it leads to strangulation, I don't really know. And there are some that say that things have changed. But you know what? The things that it comes up, when you talk about science in the Gemara, you shouldn't view it as 100% ironclad discussions that since you think it's not correct, if someone doesn't drink water, they're going to die of strangulation. No, it's not correct, so the whole thing is false. It's not true. Let's say, for example, if I tell you water is bad for you, what do you think? What do you think about what my comment is? Water is bad for you. If you have water, you're going to have a stomach ache. Right. So you might say that's crazy, but I might say like, no, if you're in India and you're not used to it, and you drink this water, you're going to have a stomach ache. That's just how it is. If you're in because different people's body in different regions have different realities with different foods. So when the Gemara is telling us this, it's fact somewhere. Doesn't necessarily mean it's fact for us. And even so, there's things that we could very much relate to here. I don't know about you. Sometimes I have one of these nights where you have all you could eat kolber or all you could eat letterman. It happens every time there's a wedding or something. Ooh. So what do I need to do? I need to drink a lot of water. I'm just telling you facts. I could probably drink 40 ounces of water. I could have like 5-6 cups of water and not even have to go to the bathroom. Why? Something's happening, right? Like, I don't know, like, or someone drinks a lot of alcohol, you need to drink a lot of water to hydrate your body because you're dehydrating it. And like, you don't go to the bathroom as much. Why? Because your body is dehydrated. So the Gemara is telling us that there are certain things that they understood that whenever you eat food, it's very good to drench your stomach with water. I believe the Rambam says this is not the case. But my point is that there's different realities in different situations. Sometimes you eat a lot of food, you gotta drench your belly with water. That's the only way you're going to be able to digest well. Other times it may not be the best, but the Gemara isn't giving you 100% statements that are true in all contexts. Like you said, it depends on context. Okay, let's keep going. What time is it? Wow, I lost track of time. Now we have another hour to go. Okay, let's go. Vikama, how much water should I drink? You're telling me that it's good to float my food with water, and if I do, I won't have stomach aches. How much water should I drink? Amar Chasta Kiton Lapat. You should have 1 flask for every loaf of bread that you have. Okay, I don't know how big this loaf is. I don't know how big this flask is, but they evidently, look at footnote 22. Rav Chisda is evidently referring to the standard flask and the loaf of his time. Okay. It's like saying you have 1 Poland Spring bottle for every bagel that you have. You know what I'm talking about. You know how big a bagel is. You know how big a Poland Spring bottle is. Yeah, I could. You know what I'm talking about. So he's talking about a flask for every piece of bread. We don't necessarily know, but that's his formula. All right, let's keep going. Amar Rav Mariam Rav Yochanan. Ooh, nice. We can talk about all these foods. It's a lot of fun. Rav Mari says, Haragil ba'adashim. Someone who eats lentils once every 30 days, monea askara mitoch beito, he's going to prevent this strangulation in his family, in his home. He's going to prevent constipation in his family because the lentils is a form of a laxative. Aval kol yoma lo, but not every day. You got to eat lentils once every 30 days. Once every 30 days, it's very good. More than that, it's not good. My tama, why not? Mishum de kasher because it's going to cause bad breath. Lentils are good for your belly once a month. More than that, bad breath. Okay, let's keep going and then I'll comment. Second statement. Mustard. You know what chardal is? It's mustard. If you have mustard once a month, once every 30 days, it's good. You're going to prevent illness in your home. But not every day. Lo, not every day. My tama, why? Because it causes faintness of heart. If you have too much mustard, it's going to cause faintness of heart. One who eats small fish, sardines, you're not going to have stomach ache. They're very good for your stomach. Not just is it good for your belly, it's good for your entire body. Someone who eats ketzach, he won't have any heart pains. What is ketzach? Footnote 25, fennel, or a seed, some sort of a food item. Fennel. Okay, so we just did a few things. What were the 4 things that we said? Lentils once a month. More than that, bad breath. What was the next one?
Mustard.
Mustard, once a month. More than that, heartache. What? Faintness of heart. Exactly. Next one? Sardines. Very good. Have them all the time. Good for your belly. Good for your entire body. Next, fennel.
What is that?
It's like a type of it's a green.
It's like a celery, but tastes like licorice.
Yeah, it tastes like licorice. Exactly. It has an odd taste to it.
Fennel salad?
I have a fennel salad. You have it with fennel and
It
cucumber.
looks like celery. The texture is like celery. It tastes like it's got like a licorice type of aftertaste.
Yeah. So it says here that it does not come to be afflicted. You have fennel, it's good for you. It may not even be fennel, it might be something else. So now let me do a little bit more and then we'll talk about let me just do a little bit more, then we'll talk about these types of diets based on the Gemara. 1 second. Okay. So we did 4 so far. We did more than that, but we did lentils once a month, mustard once a month, sardines, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then ketzach. Ketzach is maybe it's fennel or maybe it's a seed cultivated in Arabia. It's some sort of a seed. Meitve, I have a contradiction. You're telling me ketzach is good. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, ketzach echad mishishim samaneh hamavet. This ketzach, this fennel that you're saying is so good to have, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says it's one of the 60 types of poison. He has a list of poisonous foods. He calls ketzach one of them. And if you sleep on a ketzach field, you're going to die and it's going to be your own fault. Because you're irresponsible for sleeping in such a dangerous place. It's harmful and it's your own fault. So hold on a second. Last thing you said is good for your heart. Now you're saying it's a poison. Lo kashya. That's not difficult. Ha berecho, ha b'ta'amo. Depends. The smell or the taste. The taste, the flavor, the nutrition is good. The smell is dangerous. The smell is dangerous for you. And if you're going to go inside of a ketzach field that has such a strong, I don't know if it's fennel. Fennel doesn't have such a strong smell. That's why maybe it's some sort of a seed, it's something, whatever, some sort of a green herb. It's a very strong smell. That odor is dangerous. So you go there and you're going to sleep there. And what happened? So Rabbi Yirmiyah's mom would bake bread, and then in her bread, she would add this ketzach to the bread, and then she would remove it. Why? Because she wanted the flavor to go in, but she didn't want the smell to be there. So she baked it, put it in there, let the flavor and all the nutrition go in, then she ripped it off afterwards so you don't have the smell. Okay, how do you view all of this? So we just learned a bunch of different things: lentils, mustard, small fish. It's not necessarily sardines. Small fish, ketzah. How do we view these Gemara that says this is good, this is bad? So there's a Tosfot that basically says Nishtanu Adorot. Somewhere it says when the Gemara is teaching you science, you don't have to accept it. You follow what science tells you that day, those days. Okay, this is the view of the Rambam as well. With these science-related Gemara, if it's halacha, you follow the halacha. But if it says, "Hey, don't eat too much lentils because if you have lentils, you have bad breath," okay, what happened? So that's the type of Gemara that Tosot will say, okay, if you don't have bad lentils, is very healthy food. If you're having lentils, they're cooked a good way. It has a good high protein. It's very healthy. It's actually something very good to have. So I can't have it more than once a month if I do have bad breath. Listerine, like what is it really? So Tosot will say, things have changed. Or if it's telling you don't eat mustard more than once every 30 days, if we see nowadays that it's not such a big deal, these Gemarot don't have to be accepted as halacha. They're not halacha. In fact, the Maharshal said you're forbidden to follow these things. Why? You tell me. What's going to happen if someone follows a Gemara that gives you it's a science-based activity, and then the person does it, and then they end up getting hurt? What risk are you running? Then you say the whole thing is trash. And Maharshal is saying you have to understand the context in which they were speaking. It could be that people's bodies were different. It could be the food that we're talking about is different. It could be the region that they were in is different. Like I told you, don't drink water. I tell you, don't drink the water. Okay, why? Because I'm talking to someone who's going to India and he's going to be drinking the water and he's going to have an issue. But now, if you don't have all of those details, and I say don't drink the water, now someone doesn't drink water, they die. I say, look, the rabbi said don't drink water, die. Everything the rabbi said. So the Maharshal says we don't understand the science of the Talmud. Don't follow it. The Rambam will say this when there's scientific things. The Rambam says we don't have to follow it. And there's many examples of things that have changed. I give you an example of garlic. The Gemara says garlic is something that you eat raw, but you never eat it cooked. Nowadays, no one eats it raw. You only eat it cooked. But it's the same shum. It's the same garlic. No, it's not. It's different garlic. What we call garlic and what they call garlic is something different. What we call lentils and what they call lentils could be something different. What we call mustard and they call mustard, we don't know exactly. Maybe the way they prepared the mustard is different. Maybe the way that they were eating it was different. So that's why you have to be careful. You want to, we learned in maybe the last daf, we learned that beets are very good for you. You want to eat beets, fine. You want to eat sardines, fine. You want to eat these things, fine. But at the same time, don't rely on this as your source of truth for science, because that's not the function of the Gemara. In that time, in this context, this was true. There's truth to their statements. It doesn't mean that it's the same exact thing we're talking about nowadays. Another very important thing we learn from this Gemara is the concept of moderation. Is mustard good for you or bad for you?
Moderation.
It's good. Moderation. What was the first example? Lentils. Is lentils good for you or is lentils bad for you?
Good.
It's good in moderation. If you have too much of it, it's a problem. So you see the Gemara is teaching us a very, very hegionic concept here, is that too much of anything is not good. Everything, not everything, but there are many things that are good in moderation. If you have a not balanced diet, it's not good for you. It's good to have a balanced diet. You need to have a mix. You need to have lentils once in a while. You need to have this once in a while. You need to have that once in a while. You need to have this. And there's certain things that it's okay if you have more of. Certain things, if you have, it's going to cause you this problem. Certain things, you should be eating it this way. You should be adding salt to it. You should be drinking water with it. Things are, the core of what you learn from this is also the concept of moderation. Okay? All right. I think we're going to stop here. Let's just do a quick recap. What did we learn tonight? We learned the concept of hefsek. Someone tell me, what is a hefsek? People on the Zoom, you could also chime in. What is a hefsek?
Interruption.
Very good. Very good, Mr. Levian. Thank you. So, are you allowed to make an interruption after I say Hamotzi? Am I allowed to make an interruption? Trick question. The answer is no. You're not allowed to make an interruption. But if I do make an interruption, do I have to make another bracha? Tomer? Depends. Depends what I'm saying. So, depending on how related it is, we have three opinions. Well, the first opinion says if I said take some bread, that's okay. Not that it's okay, I don't need to make another bracha. But if I say give me the salt, no good. I have to make another bracha. The second one says no, even if I say give me the salt, that's fine. But if I say feed the animal, that's no good. And the last one says even if I say feed the animal. Why? Because we have a halacha. You got to feed your animals before you feed yourself. Then we learned about this whole concept of salt. So what did we learn about bread and salt? What did we learn tonight? You always have to have salt when you eat bread. So much so that Rav Bar Shmuel says that don't say Hamotzi before people have salt in front of them. You do unless the bread itself is clean or has salt in it. This is what Shulchan Aruch tells us. Stale bread, you need to have salt with it. That's why if I say pass me the salt, it's not considered a hefsek according to one opinion. But then what we learned with Rav Bar Shmuel is he went to the house of Reish Galuta. They gave him bread. He said, Hamotzi, without the salt. They said, what are you doing? And he said, this bread is special bread. And Shulchan Aruch basically takes that all the way. That says, if you have any bread that's clean or already has salt in there, or has some spice in there, or has some flavor in there, or if you have some sort of liftan, you don't need it. You don't need it, or even if you don't want it, if you're happy eating it as is, you don't need to have it. This is Shulchan Aruch, which is the halacha. But what did we say al pi Kabbalah? You should have salt, and you should dip the bread into the salt 3 times. Okay, this is the. When you see the Ramah says it or even Atam says it, fine. And then when we talk about salt, well, then that takes us to the fact that this is how you empty out your bladder, right? There's obviously logical. Rabbi Shmuel tells us, teaching us about how you empty out the bladder. The best way to do it, says Rabbi Shmuel, is sitting down because you're not worried about getting yourself dirty. But then we learned that there are other ways to do it to make sure you don't get yourself dirty, such as afarti choach, which means something that absorbs, that it doesn't splash back, or standing at a height. And then when we started to speak about salt, salt and water, we said a few very important rules. What? Anytime you eat anything, you need to have salt and water. You're drinking things, you need to have water also. You're eating things, you need to have salt. Now, a lot of our foods have salt. Almost every dish that someone cooks has salt in it. So you're already fulfilling that. But this is what I'm saying is we don't need to rely on Gemara for science, but there's plenty of things that we could relate to. If you have water without the minerals in it and without the electrolytes, it could actually hurt you. And if your body is dehydrated, it needs fluids and it also needs electrolytes. The same with that's where you have the salt and you also have the water. Okay, and then after that we started talking about different types of foods that are good to eat: lentils in moderation, mustard in moderation, sardines all you could eat, and what was the last one? Fennel or some sort of an Arabic seed, which has a very strong smell, and the smell is dangerous, but eating it actually has a lot of nutrition. You could probably think of certain food items that the smell is very strong, but has good nutrition. You think of something. What? Yogurt. Yeah, yogurt has a very strong smell. I can't stand it. But it has good probiotics. It's good for your gut. It's a good example. There are things like this. Fish. Some fish are very strong fishy smell. Garlic, very strong smell, and good health. It has good health benefits to it. Yeah, there's plenty of these things. So you see, the Gemara understands this, and the Gemara teaches us the concept of moderation, teaches us the understanding what's good for you, having it the right way, getting what's good from something. Take the flavor, don't take the smell, things like that. Okay, it's a very beautiful daf. We learned a lot of halachot. I hope your Shabbat, or anytime you have bread, I hope it's changed. Now you sit there, you're gonna say Netilat Yadayim, you're not gonna let your hands get dirty, you're gonna say Hamotzi, you're gonna make sure you have the salt beforehand, you're gonna make sure for everyone, you're gonna try to do it quickly so they don't take a break. If you're in the crowd, you're gonna say Amen, you're not gonna say your own Beracha, you're gonna have a mind to fulfill with them. We learned so many halachot. I hope this changes your entire Shabbat experience. Yeah, question.
Sorry, what do we do with Rosh Hashanah?
Okay, now I'm going to ask you Richard's question, and I want you to apply it for me. Comes to Rosh Hashanah night next week, or in 2 weeks from now, Friday night. They come and they say, B'chavod, Hamotzi. You should say, B'chavod, Hamotzi. And in front of you, you have salt, and you have honey, and you have 2 gorgeous-looking challahs. Okay, what do?
Probably gonna dip in the salt first.
You're going to dip it in the salt. So you say Hamotzi, rip a piece, dip it in the salt. How many times? 3 times, okay. What are you doing with your honey? Oh, okay. So you're saying basically you're gonna double dip. You're gonna dip some salt and dip some honey. So let's think about this. Minadin, halacha from Shulchan Aruch. What do I have to do? Whatever you want. If you have a delicious challah, you don't need to dip it in anything, right? That's what we're saying. But Kabbalah, you want to put in the salt. Now there's a minhag. Shana tova umetuka. Have a happy sweet New Year. So you have to use honey because that's what the song says. So then what do? You put salt and you put honey. Let's say you come to the table. They forgot the salt. They said Rosh Hashanah we only put honey. Is that okay? Yeah, of course it's okay. Don't make a big deal out of it. In your own home, what should you do? Exactly like what you said. Dip it in the salt. Put some honey on it also, and now you're fulfilling everything. But I hope you appreciate that from halacha, you don't need to do any of this. So that's why the reason I keep repeating this is because I've seen people go to someone's table and they start yelling, you didn't put this, you didn't put that, no, you should have put this, no, you should have put. Relax. None of this is required. The bread that you're eating is already delicious. So much so that sometimes your bread is too delicious. Because you asked, I'll just end off with this. What happens if your actual bread has honey in it? Let's say the dough has honey, which I've seen ladies do, and sometimes it's very, 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 very sweet. If the dough of the challah tastes sweet you should really see because this is a din of pataba v'kisrin. We're going to learn about it. If you take dough and make it sweet, you turn it into mezonot. That's cake. That's cake. And there are ladies that will make challah. I'm losing my voice. It's probably because some of these ladies are putting a spell on me. So I probably should stop talking. Chag Sameach. This you're telling me is askara. No, but in all seriousness, if the challah itself is extremely sweet, it's not Hamotzi. So your challah bread should taste like bread. You can then take your bread and dip it into honey and so on. Correct. That's after it's already baked, or even in the baking process, you're adding some sprinkles on top. Exactly. The dough itself, if I take a piece of the dough, is that sweet? Sometimes some lady, the regular Friday night challah is sweet. Tons of sugar, tons of salt, tons of oil, tons of this. You should be careful. It should taste like bread. It shouldn't be cakey. Your hands shouldn't be getting oily from all of the grease that's like it's a little bit too much. So again, it's okay if they do it, but to say Hamotzi on it, it's gotta be bread. Okay? All right, Rabotai, Shabbat, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue next week.
Azak.
Shalom, Rabbi.